Before discussing about interactive architecture, we will first provide a historical background for the related areas we are concerning. The first known use of word computer was in year 1613 in describing a person who carried out calculations. It was not realized until first modern analog computer invented in year 1872. In 1950s, as we may think by Vannevar Bush, was the first ever theory about computer as a potential device for transforming humans' creative activity. Here is the timeline for history of design and computation. An explicit architecture-oriented application of computers was proposed by Nicolas Negroponte in the Architecture Machine Group in the 1960s and 1970s. Negroponte proposed the application of computers in architectural design with the intention of creating a crisis for architectural rationalism and interrupting the endless repetition of industrialized architectural forms. The goals of the program were to make the building context responsive to the physical requirements and desires of users. Architecture, integrated with computer technology, was at that time imagined merely as a responder to humans' need. The very basic air conditioning system could be regarded as a good representative for this kind of technology. By the 1960s, theories about the cooperation between computer and human in order to enhance computer's functional use were introduced by different theorists, including J.C.R. Licklider and Negroponte. The idea of a man-computer symbiosis, as raised by J.C.R. Licklider, is a symbiosis of man and computer in order to exceed single human achievement. Nicolas Negroponte suggests how artificial intelligence might assist with the design process. He described the design process as a conversation between human and computers. He also states that the computer should discern and assimilate users' conversational idiosyncrasies in order to communicate and cooperate with human beings. This symbiotic relationship implies that the computer could be more than just a machine that merely responds to humans' design decisions. AI could take a further step by participating in the decision-making process. However, this established conversation, this relationship, is less about creating an emotional connection and more about functional use. This differs from relationship between humans, which are in many cases not driven purely by functional benefit. People generally regard the relationship with interactive architecture as serving a programmatic, economic, or conditional need, not an emotional one. We observed this tendency of regarding technology merely as a tool to provide convenience or efficiency. We found a neglect of the humanization potential of technology. We are proposing a humanized technology, a potential behind an extended relationship between human and interactive architecture, implicit in an emotional connection. This opens up the opportunity for architecture to perform as psychological company. We are proposing a space that accompanies. Then, it is important to understand what would trigger humans' emotional connection. In 1950s, Computing Machinery and Intelligence by Alan Turing opens up the whole discussion about machine intelligence. He raised the idea of the imitation game, later reformed as Turing test in order to design whether a machine has intelligence. A few milestones in the pursuit of machine intelligence linguistically, including ELIZA in 1964 by Joseph Weizenbaum under the simple principle of pattern matching, and the creation of MANGOTS in 1989 in the simple principle of whimsical conversation, which means language that includes strong emotion, or shows there are simple rules that could trick people to believe the intelligence of an object and form an emotional connection. The object doesn't need to have real intelligence to be understood as consciousness. Consciousness could be understood if the object follows simple rules. Therefore, we studied phenomena in the history of human-computer interaction that use simple rules to successfully form an emotional connection with people. Key rules are extracted to be explored in our model. As the conversation between human and architecture could be regarded as conversation between human and non-human, and while natural language may allow humans to cross this supposed gap by communicating their experience to others, this is not possible for other species. However, it remains a matter of common sense to most people that some animals do have conscious experiences. Most people believe in animal consciousness would point to two characteristics. The first is animals' ability to identify familiar people. For example, when a person approaches an animal, his or her identity would influence animals' reaction. This exclusiveness, this ability to recognize a person and react accordingly, is one of the reasons we understand the non-human species as intellectual and form an emotional connection. Second is animals' empathy. Their abilities to understand human emotion and react accordingly. The company while you are sad, the happiness while you are happy, triggers your emotional connection. Afterwards is humans' relationship with visual pets such as Tamagotchi. Tamagotchi was one of the biggest toy fad in 1990s, with over 76 million people from all ages played with it. It is a very simple digital pet. Express its hunger, bored, needs for excretion or illness through simple animation. Many people are found establish an emotional attachment with their digital pets, and due to the widespread of this phenomenon, this effect is named Tamagotchi effect, which defines humans' emotional connection to machines through nurturance. Similar with a living body, our physical model contains sensor system, includes Kinect, webcam, and earphone, cognition system with the help of facial recognition Python library and Watson developer API, the brain, which are codes developed in Python using Socket UDP, C#, JSON package, and Grasshopper in order to transfer the information, and the model, which made by soft fabric with soft movements. To achieve the outcome we want to achieve, we are applying facial recognition for exclusiveness and nurturance, emotional recognition for empathy. A more detailed logic diagram of the code we develop is lying here. Take the emotional recognition as an example. We use Python to access to two services from Watson Developer Cloud SDK, which is speech-to-text to transfer voice message to text, and then analyze the text through Tone Analyzer service. The result will send from Python through Socket UDP. However, Socket UDP could only send byte type information, so to receive by Grasshopper, we have to use C# to decode it. This results in a successful information transformation from human behavior to computer understandable language.